Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the NFL version of the Illegal Contact Podcast. You have me here, Kyle, along with Thomas Peyton, for our thoughts on college football. Been a few weeks, guys. Missed quite a few different picks across the board in our NFL pick'ems in here. We'll do a little bit of a catch up on that, go over our perspectives for our fans, and just kind of give our outlier, kind of catch up lightly here next week. Much more in depth we'll get going into for things, but just kind of recap and pick up where we've been at. So, Thomas, let's kick it off with you. All right. So, last time we talked, your New York Jets were rolling. And then you had a running back roll his knee essentially, and that's a good chance.
I'm glad we get to talk NFL because you guys forced me to talk an hour and a half of college football so that I could get 20 minutes of NFL in here.
And it
I
was
get
good.
it.
You did
You
it,
know,
and you
I
wore
did
it
it.
well.
I get it, and I do it because I love sports. I could do a tennis podcast for an hour and a half if that's what we needed to do. It's for the love of the game. The Jets. Um, just to sum up what a whirlwind the last few weeks have been. It's wild of the injuries, the wins against Buffalo, and then the Zach Wilson, just the Patriots, the Patriots ruining Zach Wilson, and then reemerging Mike White, and obviously Mike White comes in, takes a hold of that job, looks really good game one. Then the Vikings happen. Uh, and I thought the first half, this week, we're getting blown out. The defense doesn't look ready. The offense looks abysmal in the first half against the Vikings. At half, I'm basically thinking, are we going to put Zach Wilson back in next week? I mean, what are we doing? Mike White might have just lost the game. He might be a one game per year type of guy like he was last year. And then the second half happens and they make this miraculous comeback. Mike White looks like an NFL quarterback. Now, he wasn't perfect. He made a lot of mistakes. One was overthrowing Garrett Wilson for an 80-yard bomb that would have put them ahead in the fourth quarter. They ended up going down, almost scoring again there, and that was the Braxton Berrios drop. So I will give them credit. They should have scored and won that game. Braxton Berrios ends up dropping the game-winning touchdown on fourth down. But Mike White looks like a starting quarterback. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to be Joe Burrow even, but can he be a Kurt Warner light type player where he's going to make the balls he throws? He's got that accuracy and he'll take the risks, right? And ultimately he's got the pocket presence to be able to step up, take a hit, and still get the ball off. Honestly, maybe he could just be Kirk Cousins. Could he be Kirk Cousins? The Jets had an opportunity years ago. Could he be Kirk Cousins? Maybe. I mean, that's the type of player. No, I mean, Kirk.
Do you still think it's too
Yeah.
early to say that he's anything other than a Heineke?
He could just be a Heineke too. You're right. He could just be that. I honestly have no idea. It is very early, but all I know is he can make. And I'm very bullish on him. Not bullish, bearish on Mike White. I'm not ready to give up on Zach Wilson. I think we're not done seeing Zach Wilson in a Jets uniform, especially for next year. And I'm not even ready to say Mike White's our starter for next year. He's earned the rest of the year, I think, at this point, unless they get eliminated from playoffs and you want to throw Zach Wilson out there. I get that. Or you're in a blowout and you put Zach Wilson in. I get that. But if he's healthy and they're still in the playoff hunt, it's Mike White's job the rest of this year to see what you have. But basically, it just confirms that Zach Wilson was holding the team back. And obviously, there was a lot of injuries, but Zach Wilson was the issue with this team, stopping them if they were not going to make the playoffs. And Mike White's a competent NFL player at this point where I don't know if he's a long-term starter, but yeah, maybe he's in the category of a Heineke where if you have to get some starts out of him, he can produce in a way. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out because now we have the Bills again this week, and I'm not sure if we can beat them twice in a year. But this is also another big game because we still do have that 7 seed in the AFC. We still currently are a playoff team. We have a top 5 defense. So if the offense can give you something like they have the last 2 games, all I'll say is Garrett Wilson is a stud.
You're playing a Bills defense without Von Miller now too.
Yeah, no Von Miller. Obviously we know their issues in their secondary and benching their first round pick. Tre'Davious White's been hurt most of the year, and he's still not looking like himself. Obviously, Micah Hyde is out for the whole year as well. So they have their injuries on defense, and Josh Allen has not looked the same since that.
I
Jets
forgot
game.
about Micah Hyde. That name. That's a college name that haunts my.
Where did he
Iowa,
go?
2010. We were undefeated. Kirk Cousins went in, and his brother played for us, and he played there, and he killed us. Like, he was the reason that they beat us so badly. That one haunts.
Man, you pulled details out like that.
Know,
that
right?
must haunt
you. I know. From 12 years ago, almost. Wow.
That was like the first time in my life I'd seen Michigan State to that level of undefeated, that highly ranked, and so that was a tough loss to Iowa. Sorry, that was.
No. I mean, there
name.
You go. No, it's good. It's good. I think that's it with the Jets. It's going to be interesting. We have a coach. We have a defense. And thank you for reeling me in a little bit there with Mike White, because I'm not there. I mean, if Jared was here, Jared is more in on Mike White. And there's the fact that there are groups of Jets fans that are very in on him. But here's the thing: as a guy who's in his second start of this year and was the third string quarterback coming into the year, his performance the last two games, you give him an A minus, right? He exceeding all expectations. As an NFL starter still, especially against Minnesota, you give him like a C plus, right? If this is your starting quarterback in the NFL, you give him like a C plus. He's made a lot of good plays, and but that's all you kind of need to make the playoffs, I think, with this team.
Bottom line, jury's way out, way too far to make a kind of a decision on it. He could be.
You look at a guy like Mahomes and Burrow and some of these other Lamar. Teams have film on them, and they still can't figure out how to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, those are the ones that you want, are the ones that can exceed the preparation of another team. Mike White,
the Gardner Minshew's.
There's no film. There hasn't been time for people to adjust to him. He's relatively unknown for what he's going to end up doing.
But he's capitalizing on it.
Especially when you have a guy like him or Heineke, where you don't know much about him, and they're not afraid to sling it. Then they're really it's easier if you got a guy like Josh Rosen, where you're like, this guy isn't going to throw the ball, and if he does, we know where he's going to throw it.
Well, that was the issue with Zach Wilson. He wasn't going to make those throws because he was too scared to make the mistake, and that's partially on coaching, because they kind of put that in his head, don't make the mistake, and then he started playing like that. But Mike White's playing, he'll throw it into that tight window, and obviously defenses, like you said, might adjust and be able to, if he doesn't have that zip on the ball to get in that window, maybe they'll start cheating a bit. But
and I don't
he's capitalizing on that.
I'm not going to he's gone you all, but I think of, okay, well, what about these weird QB changes where this guy comes in and he ends up playing real well? Obviously, we saw it with Fitzpatrick. One of the more well-known examples is Nick Foles coming in, and we know how that ended. So sometimes it helps to have a guy come in where people are kind of confused as to how to prepare for him to work to your advantage. And with a beleaguered Bills defense right now, might be able to grab a second one off of them. We'll see. I'm high on the Jets this weekend.
Pulling again, and
they're like
another example on that.
Point underdogs.
To pull back again to a long time ago, Tony Romo, say what you will, Tony Romo had a really good career, and he came in similar kind of. I mean, it was against Bledsoe, but nobody knew who he was, and he came in, and we all thought maybe it was just defense got to figure him out, and they kind of did. But he ended up having an extremely good career.
That's the thing. I think at this point he's proven he could be a Heineke, a spot starter, and if he gets, you put enough talent around him, which the Jets could have, he could maybe lead a really good team to the playoffs. Now the rest of the year he has to prove, is he more than that, right? Is he a Kirk Cousins? Is he a Tony Romo, where he's just a late bloomer, but now he's in the right system and could be a 5-7 year starter? I don't know. but he's got the rest of the year to prove that. Because honestly, he's a free agent at the end of the year. And this is another weird situation with the Jets because what do you do in the offseason now? Because he's a free agent. You got Zach Wilson for 2 more years under contract. Jimmy G's now hurt, and you're probably not going down that route. So the whole quarterback situation for the Jets next year is all over the place.
The whole entire conversation not going to get into. I wouldn't want to go for Jimmy G anyway, between you and me. So,
well, Jimmy G does not require surgery, so he might actually be able to come back for the playoffs. So that, I mean, certainly helps him for any stock that other teams might have in him during the offseason.
But man, the man cannot stay healthy. We'll talk about it later. But
he can't. But at the same time, like this one's
forget
a little
that.
different.
I wouldn't even take him for that aspect.
This one's a little different. It's like having weak knees is different than like rolling your ankle.
Kyle, you're talking to a Jets fan. We'll take Jimmy G.
No, don't settle for that.
No, I have to settle for that.
What else are you going to get, Kyle? What else?
Because we're not drafting a quarterback. We're not drafting a first-round quarterback.
Then make a play for something. Then wait another year and get something better in free agency. Ride on Zach Wilson for a little bit longer. Don't go for Jimmy G.
The team is ready to win now. The team is ready to win now.
But I don't.
You're a New York team too. Fans will not be patient.
But I don't think you'll win with Jim. You're ready to win now, but I don't think you'll win with Jimmy G now. I don't think you're going to be that much better off with Jimmy G than you would be with Zach Wilson. I don't.
No, stop it. Stop it. He's playing good. He's playing good.
Kyle, how have the 49ers been killing these teams? Jimmy G's not going to throw it a million times. He's going to throw it like 20 times a game. But he manages the game and executes the playbook. That's all you really need.
And Kyle, he's not a long-term solution, but as a Jets fan, we'd sign up for it right now because the quarterback carousel that we've had over the last 10 years, the best we've had, Mark Sanchez, that was 10 years ago. The best year we've had since then was 2015. We had Ryan Fitzpatrick, who set the franchise record for touchdowns thrown in a season and then blew up in game 17 against the Bills with 3 picks.
Brady might be available after this year.
Kyle, who's a better pick? He would never go to New York. Who's a better quarterback, Jimmy G or Flacco?
Currently, Jimmy G.
Right now, yeah. Who's a better quarterback, Jimmy G or Zach Wilson?
Jimmy G.
Yep.
Who's a better quarterback, Jimmy G or White?
Jimmy G.
All right. Well, unless you tell me Derek Carr is going to be on the market and he gets cut by the Raiders, then we might not have any other options. So,
which they can't do because Devontae went there for one reason. Package deal. Would you take Devontae too?
Oh, give us Devontae and Garrett Wilson and Derek Carr. There we go. That's your 2023 Jets.
Flip those pockets out.
All right. We're going to do for Peyton and I, since our teams played each other this last week. So Cowboys and Colts. Peyton, so you'll be happy to know I did watch that first half.
You didn't watch the whole game?
I'll get to that. I watched that first half. Thought it was a good first half. You guys played really well against us. I think it kind of got screwed on 1-2. I think it was definitely a fumble. I think you should have possession in our end there, but didn't happen that way. So yeah, really good first half. I had every intention of watching the second half. This normally doesn't happen to me, but halftime I fell asleep, and when I woke up, the score was quite different from what I went to bed with it. So
surprise,
we were up by 8 at halftime, but we were
Matt
up
Ryan
by 8 because we had a great drive in the end there with just time remaining to be able to get that touchdown and take that bigger lead. But so yeah, I can tell you this: I saw a good game out of Indianapolis the first half. You can tell me the rest. I'm sorry.
So when we went into the locker room, I think a vision flashed in front of us of technically we could compete for the division right now because we're still in a terrible division. And then everyone also fell asleep at halftime on the Colts and then woke up and thought, who played the rest of that game? Because it wasn't us. It wasn't any NFL players that were out there. We go from keeping it competitive against one of the better teams in the NFL right now, who are clear contenders for a championship. Go from,
do want to talk about
was
that for a
it
second, too?
13-21 at halftime to we put up 6 points in the third quarter, hold them to none. Okay, that's good. We're making moves here. This is 3 quarters in. We're hanging in there. We're doing our best. Gonna make a play for the win here. To then not being able to score a single time in the fourth quarter and giving up 33 insert cuss word here points. 33 points in a quarter. I have not even looked. I would venture to say that's the most any team has given up in a single quarter this season. Horrible. It's just horrible. Matt, I mean, it just reinforces the things that we know are true. Matt Ryan's not the guy. We need a quarterback to put things together. Offensive line, they hung in there. I think that Jonathan Taylor could still use some help from a stronger offensive line, specifically left tackle to partner with Quentin Nelson to open up those gaps on the left-hand side. And then our, I can't even remember his name, Freeze, I think, the right guard. He's not him. He can't be the guy. So we have some offensive line work to do. I think Jeff Saturday has worked with them well enough to make sure that they're better than when Reich was still at the helm, but he's still playing with broken pieces right now. And I don't want to waste the Quentin Nelson years that we have. Offensive linemen don't hang around forever. Not everyone's a Joe Thomas or an Andrew Whitworth who are going to play for a while as an offensive lineman at a high level. So yeah, we can't waste that time. We've got to improve there, but just disappointing. Our defense just, I don't know. You can't be on the field constantly. And again, I am still a believer in our defense as much as everyone would say, oh, you gave up X amount of points. Yeah, when Matt Ryan's turning the ball over like that, we certainly are going to be giving up those points. Unfortunate fumbles, like I think it was 2 fumbles and 3 picks on the night. Like gross. You're not going to win a football game if you're not winning the turnover battle unless you get lucky or make additional plays to make up for that. We just didn't do it. So Dallas, I mean, it was a good showing for your offense and for your defense. We'll see if it was enough to grab OBJ.
I don't want OBJ now.
Well, apparently he's not going to be ready till the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, so the
They
Cowboys
said
have
mid-January.
Cowboys have said that there's major concerns for his injury for a reason to be hesitant to not. And if I'm Dallas, I don't want to spend the money that.
But can
OBJ,
we stop the
unless,
OBJ sweepstakes?
Yes,
Like this has gone for like a month.
Yes, unless OBJ is going to be willing to sign himself for extremely cheap to this year, like improve it. Which is not
multi-year deal.
That's not OBJ. Like that's not going to happen. So that's the only way that I would want it, and that's not going to happen. So I don't want it. Like it's.
It might be in your interest to pay him a large amount this year, depending on what cash you still have available in this year. You're not going to do anything else as far as contracts go right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to be a little bit tighter on cash next year, you may as well sign him, give him everything up front now for like a 2-3 year deal, whatever you want to do. I don't think it would go beyond a 2 or 3 year deal to start, especially with the injuries. But you may as well pay him now. So that way you can kind of use him at your leisure. Don't rush him. Maybe he didn't play at all this year. And then he gets to jump in. See, Cooper, huge OBJ fan. But then you can control like when he returns.
Yeah.
as opposed
That's
to
enough about OBJ. He said enough. He said enough airtime in the
he's
world.
so
for
upset now
I know.
because you
Look
don't
how
want to
sad he
talk
looks.
about him.
Oh, he looks so sad.
Love Cooper. Great. I'll talk on the Cowboys for just a second here. So the last time that we did a show, the picks for the games were for Cowboys against Packers. And in Mike McCarthy fashion, Cowboys lose a game they had no business losing because of stupid decisions. I was irate after the game, back to what I was at Tampa Bay. I was probably more mad that I was the Tampa Bay game, because you've proven to me at this point in time this team's good enough that we can actually do something with it. And this is why I have no faith in to make things happen. And so, yes, I'm still, Cowboys are doing very well and I have hopes for it. But the reason why this entire year, though, I keep on having, I am all in, I'm cheering, I'm hopeful. Every game, even against the game against you guys this weekend, Peyton, the reason why I want to watch the second half is because I still don't trust Mike McCarthy to, in a game that we should have a business absolutely winning, not making a complete bonehead. Did he make any decisions second half that made you scratch your head, Thomas? You're kind of looking at me like,
No, I'm just thinking this year, how many coaches do we trust? There's a lot of weird coaches out there right now. And not to say that they can't be good, but there's some weird coaches that are having great years. There are some great coaches having some bad years. The coaching is just so odd this year. I don't know. Maybe just Mike McCarthy's got one more magical season in him. Maybe he doesn't, but there aren't like a ton of amazing coaches that will be in the playoffs that you're going to have to go. You're going to trust Nick Sirianni. He's done a very good job. You're going to trust O'Connell in Minnesota to beat Mike McCarthy. You're going to trust, I don't know who else, like what's going to be else in the playoffs. You're going to trust Brian Dable in year one over him. That's all I'm saying is like the coaches in the NFC, the ones that will make the playoffs.
Todd
There
Bowles.
aren't a ton. Yeah, you're not trusting Todd Bowles.
all I know,
Thomas
is
and
that
Jared certainly aren't.
I still,
Tom Brady isn't.
he makes these decisions like this, and bad coaching puts in positions
No,
for
I get
games
it.
to lose. We should like to lose into. I was so mad after that.
I get it,
Green
but
Bay game.
enjoy.
And
Just enjoy your 9-3.
but-
Just enjoy the season.
I can enjoy it, but Thomas, what I'm still so worried was going to happen, you get to the postseason, and then we have the San Francisco game all over again that we had the year before, where we no business losing that game, and because of bad coaching. And again, it takes me to the same point. I don't care how many wins. If I have a great season, I wins during the season. If I'm not able to be sitting there to be able to in a position to be able to be competing for a championship, what's the freaking point in winning a bunch of games in the regular season?
If you make it to the NFC Championship game and they put up a good game there, are you going to be sad even if they don't win?
No, that I'll be sad. Like I said,
Okay.
if he can coach them to an NFC Championship game, I'm content. I'm still not probably gonna like him, but I'm content. I'm not
No,
falling for his
okay,
head.
okay.
That's the only thing that keeps me on his bandwagon.
Okay.
Dan
Dan Orlovsky said that this week that if that it's NFC Championship game or bust with the Cowboys and the way the scheduling in the playoffs might pan out, especially with some of the NFC teams that we'll talk about as contenders. But he did say that this week that it's NFC Championship or bust for this Cowboys team.
I will say us losing Anthony Brown, he's out now. That does hurt on defense. Still very good defense, but that does hurt because Diggs is good. But again, we saw it in this game the other night. Diggs sometimes gets way too aggressive, makes a play that he has no business making a play on, and leaves somebody completely wide open. And without having that back up there in Brown, it gives me a little bit reason for concern in that secondary. So
y'all have, looking at your schedule, you've got
fairly easy left.
The Texans, the Jags, the Eagles, the Titans, the Commanders.
Should be 4-1 coming out of that.
Should be 4-1 coming out of that.
Should be 5-0.
Worst case scenario, you're 3-2. 12-win season with Mike McCarthy, potentially a 13-win season with Mike McCarthy. Even if you don't get to the NFC Championship, I think he's still your head coach next year.
Yeah, he's coming back. If he's at this pace, he's coming back.
To quote Moneyball, for our younger viewers, plug here. If you don't win the last days of the season, who gives a shit? I don't care if you won 11.
But if you can get closer than the other guy, you'll live to see another day.
It's NFL. It's not college. I don't care about being close to the other guy. I care about actually my team winning it. So,
Yeah, but unlike college, you're not letting boosters pay your coaches. Jerry's paying his coach, and he doesn't
Yeah.
want to waste money or lose money because he just wants to get rid of somebody early who's still winning for him.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
What do we got left? We already talked Jimmy G. We already talked
Well,
Bengals.
I do want to make it clear. I want the Colts to lose out. I want to lose every game.
so two teams
Embrace
are
the suck.
eliminated. Two teams are already eliminated.
Yep.
So you're not going to be a top two. Where would you think projection wise, as far as the draft goes? Do you think you guys can get into the top 5 of the draft, or are you just maybe happy just get us in the top 10 and then maybe we could trade up if we need to?
So right now we are, I think, projected 10 or 11. Where I think people
You're
are
still second in your division.
Where I think, yeah, it's bad. Where I think people are projecting that will end is like the 5 to 7 like mark. If we could get 4 or 5, I'd be elated. We're not going to be we're not going to be. It's that pesky tie is going to pull us back from a couple of teams because I think we'll match records except for the tie, and that's going to pull us back like 2 spots. So anyway, we'll see. We'll find a way to lose.
Any briefly, any bold predictions to how this plays out?
Well,
let's throw a bone to my friends and the listeners that are Lions fans. The Lions make the playoffs.
If they win this week, they've got a realistic shot. And surprisingly,
if they win this week, then they are a real contender. And
you know how crazy this is?
I wouldn't want to play them again if they win this week.
You know how crazy this is? They are 2-point favorites at home against a 10-win Vikings team. They're favorites, which is wild.
What time's the game?
That game is
1 o'clock.
A 1 o'clock game.
That's a bummer. That's one you need to flex to prime time.
Yeah, that is a 1 o'clock Fox game.
Yep. Yeah, because Kirk Cousins doesn't do well in prime time, so they have a better chance. So I'm happy that's
here's the thing. So real quick, I'll get to give the Detroit fans, like you said, some of the audience. If they win that game, they're at 6-7 against. They win the Vikings game. Then they have the Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers. They probably need to get at least
easy the last.
No, I mean, I doubt they win both Vikings and Jets.
They don't beat the Jets.
They're not going to win the next two.
It's
happy if they split.
It's in Jersey, right?
It's in yes. So it's an away game. Yeah. Panthers are still kind of weirdly in it. Bears, I see probably 2 to 3 more wins. I don't know if that's enough. 8 wins potentially.
There's still 2 wins out of the wild card spot right now, and so they need not only do they have to win this weekend, even
they got to win 4. They got to win 4 more.
Right. So not only do you have to win this weekend to be able to make that happen and say that you're a real possibility, you need those teams above you to drop a few. And
and they don't play.
I don't know about those that are
really above them.
Right. I doubt we're going to you're not going to be able to gain any spots probably on us. And even if you did, you got a long way to go to catch Dallas at this point in time. So, any other surprises that you think could be upsets we could see get in here?
Well, I think it's worth bringing up how the NFC East, especially the Commanders, have been able to. That tie probably hurts them a bit. Helps the Giants stay relevant here, but the Commanders with Heineke have been really good. That defense is getting, Chase Young back. Ron Rivera, we know what he can do on the defensive side. Terry McLaurin is scary. They've got 2 running backs that have been really good with Gibson and Robinson now. I don't know. Commanders could be. I wouldn't want to see the Commanders in the playoffs at this point, and they've been playing really good.
Can you imagine that? All 4 NFC East teams in the playoffs?
I think the Giants are going to end up falling out, but yeah, it's the same thing where we thought in the AFC East for a bit before the Patriots ended up losing to the Vikings. All 4 of the AFC teams in the East were in the playoff as well. So it was weird seeing both AFC, NFC, all 4 teams were in the playoffs at that time. The Patriots have fallen out, but
And can I
It'd be
just
funny
say,
if you could see all 4 NFC East teams in the playoffs. Then you could also have 3 of the 4 AFC South teams within the top 5 draft picks. Like there is some polarity here in some of these divisions.
um, from a fan perspective, can I just say, not because I dislike those other NFC East teams, how much I hate that. I hate the fact that you can have an entire division. That is stupid. This is bad
Is it?
playoff formatting.
Then
Yes, it's bad.
you get rivalries in the playoffs. That's exciting.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. You're gonna get some matchups, and
But
you're
this
gonna
is
get.
we've talked about this in other sports in the past. This is why I hate playoff expansion in sports, because you now even
That's
more
fair.
so dilute the regular season to where it doesn't mean hardly anything anymore if that many teams from a division can get in.
It's still under 50%,
NFL is still
which is good.
NFL
You
is
don't want it
still
to get to
NFL and
50%.
baseball are still way better than NHL and
Yes.
NBA, but it's you're both leagues are inching closer to that point in time. You're like, oh, just everybody get in. Like, why play regular season? Just
Yeah. It's got to be under 50%. You can't have 50% or more get into the playoffs. So as long as it's under 50%, I'm fine. But you're right, no more expansion. As far as NFC, real quick, I mean, you guys see any other contenders? Philly, Dallas, Vikings.
I thought
You guys
Atlanta
still
for
think
a
San
little
Fran?
bit, but
Yeah,
I don't think
Atlanta's
Atlanta anymore.
fallen off. Is San Fran still a contender with Brock Purdy?
I think
But
they
now
are.
Jimmy G maybe because Jimmy G could be back for the playoffs.
I would say I think they are. You've got a lot of wild cards with that team. Like they can still run the ball down your throat if they need to in a creative way that complements what McCaffrey is good at. And yeah, I could see them still being a threat. I don't think they're going to win as many games as I thought down the stretch, but Brock Purdy played well this last week. I don't know. We're kind of measuring him with a Mike White lens of how can he come in when he should not be successful, third quarterback all year. Can he actually make some magic happen? But yeah, I think Philly. I don't think Minnesota's a contender. Like, I know they keep winning, but I don't think they keep winning because they're doing well. I think they
That
keep winning
defense
because
is
the
bad.
other teams are losing. So even though they're up there, I don't even view them as a contender. Dallas is more of a contender. In my
You want to know
mind.
what's crazy? So they're 10-2. Their point differential is 10. They only have a plus 10 point differential, which is bonkers. I mean, 10-2, and you've only outscored your opponents by 10 points.
Yeah.
I mean, the same. It's honestly same with the Dolphins. Dolphins are 8-4. They only have a plus 10 point differential, which is why I wouldn't think that the Dolphins are contenders, especially after how bad Tua's looked and the defense. So in the AFC, there honestly could only be 3 legit contenders in the AFC. As far as it's deep, but there's only 3 legit contenders.
I think honestly, this is not me being biased as a Cowboys fan looking at this right now. I'm not worried about playing any of those other teams in the NFC in the playoff other than Philly.
San Fran doesn't scare you if they have Jimmy G back.
No.
No.
I think that I think we match up very well against San Francisco. I don't think it's a
I don't know.
factor.
I don't think your offense matches up well against their defense. You need somebody else to knock them out.
Our defense would very much keep them in control and give our offense way more chances to be able to score on them, though, I think.
That's when you get into I trust Shanahan to prepare his offense to play well against your defense. Where the entire plan is to play football away from Micah Parsons.
Yeah, but I also trust Dan Quinn to be able to utilize Micah Parsons all over that field. Dan Quinn, here's the thing is, if Mike McCarthy embarrasses himself, you're not letting Dan Quinn leave that room, and he could him. So yeah, that's the thing. Where you got to keep Dan Quinn.
I'd take Dan Quinn as head coach. I would.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you trust Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn more than you trust Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans, based on what you've seen this year?
Probably not.
Quinn, yes.
Nope. Package. Don't break them apart.
Package.
I trust Quinn an awful lot, though. So Quinn carries a lot of weight on his own to maybe say yes.
I don't trust Shanahan as much as the whole NFL fear does. You look at some of those second half numbers with the 49ers. When they're off script, he's great at that first half script. Their offense takes a nosedive in the second half. And we've seen some of the issues here in the playoffs with Shanahan. I like Shanahan a lot, but I'm not like in love with Shanahan like some people are. I'm not in
Not
love
in
with
love with the man, but I like him
Yeah.
more than Kellen
I'll
Moore.
just say with
yeah.
us getting Smith back, getting Tyrone Smith back is a huge boost, I think, as well too, to keep that, which is already a great offensive line, even deeper at that point in time for the rest of the way. I honestly, going to the playoffs is probably the most, on a talent level for what the team can do, this is the most confident I've been in a Dallas Cowboys team going to the playoffs in a probably since 2014. But it's all shied away though, because I don't trust I especially don't trust the head coach, and I don't trust the head coach to make sure that his offense coordinator does what needs to be done to make sure you have your team getting a shot that's in there, to make sure that Kellen Moore does what's right. So that if it's based on talent and players' ability to actually win, I think we have every ability to win the NFC. I don't trust the coaches to hope to actually be able to get us there. So, all right, let's move
Can
on.
I ask? Yeah,
Go
can I
ahead.
ask Peyton,
Yeah.
before we go to picks? Peyton, can I ask you, since it's your division, just because this happened today with the Titans firing their GM Robinson? I mean, that's weird, right? That's
Very
weird.
weird.
They fire their coach. They're leading the division. They haven't had a losing record under him. Is this just the Mike Vrabel winning the battles, the power struggle, and they just had to do it now? Like what?
I have absolutely no idea. I saw that headline come across, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, he's drafted well. They've built really good teams. I'm
This
not
can't just
entirely
be the
sure.
AJ Brown trade, right?
I'm not entirely sure why they're struggling right now, other than the fact that they've had significant injuries. And I mean, that's not his fault. That's not anybody's fault when you get injured. But I have no idea. He was, from what I can understand, one of the more respected GMs as far as building a team. So I have no idea what happened. It almost made me wonder if something was happening internal to the organization.
Yeah.
And he gotten found out, and yeah, so I don't know. We'll find out more. I'm just keeping my eyes on Schefter, because I bet we'll find out more here in the next week or two.
It's hard to believe this would just be Mike Vrabel winning the power struggle in week 14 to causing them to fire their GM at this point, unless they really just thought, Vrabel wants him out. Let's get the new guy in before you start doing all your draft prep now that college football's done.
I was going to say, which power struggle is he getting right now? Because
it's got to be a personnel issue where he's still pissed off about AJ Brown, and then
if that's what it is, I'm like, Vrabel, pay attention to the games. You're doing worse this year than you have the last couple. Like, pay attention to the games. You can worry about this later on.
Off-season. Yeah, we'll worry about this in the off-season. It's odd. I just wanted to bring that up because it happened today. That's very unprecedented that a GM gets fired, not in season, let alone a team that's winning their division and has won their division the last few years and even gotten to the pretty far in the playoffs with him.
Why couldn't they have bet the Eagles this weekend? No.
That was a no-show. That was a no-show.
Didn't win. All right, let's move on to picks. All right. Give a quick recap to catch people up on where we're at in standings here. Let's see. So I am currently in the lead at 28-17, 62%.
Pretty good.
Followed by Jared at 27-18 at 60. Peyton 26-19 at 58. Thomas 25-20 at 56, and Christian 24-21. Oddly enough, from the order we have them in, that's the standings just following down. So,
again, winning you money.
But we're winning you money. If you take just the lines on what we pick, you'll keep on. More often than not, we're right. And we don't pick the easy games either, people. We pick the games that are close that are going to be harder ones. So remember that we kind of know what we're talking about here. All right. The Jets traveling and taking on the Bills. Sorry, Thomas. Give me the Bills.
No. Give me the Bills as well. We're not beating the Bills
Ooh.
twice in 1 year. I don't see it happen. Although we do need this game pretty bad. Again, 9.5 points is ridiculous. After we beat them, 9.5 points on the spread is ridiculous. The way that they're playing, the way that we're playing. But I don't know if I don't think Mike White. They struggle so much in the red zone against the Vikings defense. And I know the Bills defense is banged up, but it's a lot better than the Vikings defense. And if we couldn't score in the red zone against them, then we got some issues.
Peyton?
I like the Jets this week. I think they have a good shot. The only thing that is making me pick the Bills is Josh Allen. That is literally the only thing.
Is he Josh Allen?
It's a good thing.
Is this the real Josh Allen? Is he hurt? Is that elbow bothering him still?
If I gotta go with Josh.
Yeah.
They're kind of in a we need to really start to put these wins together, or else we could be put in a bad position in the playoffs type scenario. And he knows that. The coaching staff knows that. There's still a very solid coaching staff. You are all still a very young coaching staff. I think that Mike White this is the best defense, Bills defense, that he could go up against. Like we talk about Von Miller being out. They're a little banged up. Still got some good pieces. Matt Milano has been playing really, really well this year at the linebacking position. So I'm sure he'll be causing a lot of problems. But yeah, I think their main thing is how do we effectively move the ball while staying away from your corners? If they can answer that question, it's going to be a long day for Jets fans. Bills.
Mike White had 4 picks in a game against the Bills last year.
All right. Peyton, we're going to stick with you here for this next one. Vikings traveling to Detroit and taking on the Lions.
Lions. I'm not a Vikings believer this year, even though they keep winning. Like I said, it's because other teams are losing. I think that Lions sneak one. They take a good, meaningful victory.
Thomas?
I want to pick the Lions because they are playing really good football, but I'm going to zag here because I feel like everybody will be on the Lions. Vegas is on the Lions. The line is in their favor. I think the Vikings know that they don't get the respect that maybe they don't deserve, but they're going to feel disrespected in this game coming in as underdogs and end up winning.
Kirk Cousins doesn't lose. He's not in prime time. So I still don't trust this Lions team. While I understand they did this last year at different points in time too. They played exceptionally well, and then the next week you just see them completely there. And I'm running on the fact that Kirk Cousins doesn't screw up when he's not in prime time, and I'm expecting a little more dosage of same old Lions to come on out. All right, Thomas, give us the next one here. Bucks at 49ers.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy to bet Brock Purdy over Tom Brady, but they're at home, and that defense is legit. And the Bucks. I mean, I don't know how much Monday Night Football you guys watch, but the Bucks offense when they're not in hurry up is one of the worst offenses in the league right now. If they're not in hurry up, so yeah, give me the 49ers.
Yeah, give me the 49ers. Same reasons. Couldn't say anything else.
Niners, Brady sucks.
Is he done? Is he done? I think
he's going to extend.
Extend.
I'm saying he's going to extend his career. I truly think he ends up with the 49ers.
I think he might go back to the Patriots.
Oh.
I don't think he'd go back there.
I think there's a lot of signs pointing that he might.
I don't think he
Patriots
will.
fans think that he might.
Oh,
I think Niners.
up to where his home is. Finish out. his
Now,
career
I
out.
will say another wild card team that I could see him going to, and this would be involved in more of a trade scenario, would be the Rams.
How about Vegas?
I
No,
don't
they're
think
not going to
Vegas.
mess up the Devontae thing.
Yeah.
They might.
All right. Dolphins traveling and taking on the Chargers. That's a hard pick. That's a really hard pick.
It's a very hard pick.
Give me Herbert and the Chargers. It's a home game, which doesn't mean much for LA, but I still think Herbert's got the best in front of him still to keep on coming up. Give me Herbert. Thomas.
I any given week, both these teams could look really good or really bad. I don't long term like either of these teams, and I think a coaching change is on the horizon for the Chargers if they don't make the playoffs, which it looks like they might not be able to this year. Again, they have so many injuries, which is just terrible. It's the typical Chargers. But you're right. I think they kind of need this game more, and Herbert, maybe Herbert's starting to hear like, oh, people think Tua is better than me now. Give me the Chargers. I think Herbert's going to have a huge game.
All right, Peyton.
I think this is going to be a high scoring game because both defenses are not spectacular. But give me the Dolphins. I think that Tua right now is locked in. I think he's one of the more locked in QBs right now with the skill positions that are around him. I mean, he's making Sherfield look like an excellent Pro Bowl worthy wide receiver at times. Like I think that I think the Dolphins just have a weird scheme that people can't really figure out right now. Give me the Dolphins. High scoring game though.
All right. And then for our last one here, I do want to say Dolphin Chargers. I still think Chargers, though. I said at the beginning of the year, and it's not panning out that way. That's a team that I think still has a ton of promise for the future.
They've got talent.
They have a lot of talent that's going to be there a little while still yet. So I still believe and hope for the Chargers moving forward. But
I wouldn't put any real money on this game, by the way, for anybody.
Yeah.
Like that's a true toss up.
All right, Peyton, give us Rams taking or hosting the Raiders at home. The other LA. Whoa.
Before
Do
I
I have that
do
right?
that,
Raiders are at Rams, so both games are at SoFi this weekend.
Yes, this is
that
a
right?
Thursday night game. Yes, because they think, yeah, I think so, because this is the Thursday night game.
Rams is Thursday, yeah.
So
Even
they
so,
are fitting
that's
both.
crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
It is weird. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I just want to mention I said I felt like it was going to be a high scoring affair for both of those. Or for the Dolphins game. Over-under is currently set at 52.5.
It's high.
I still
cover.
think it's going to be over.
I'd say over, take the over on that.
Here's the thing, though. They are not the highest projected over-under line out of the NFL games. Which game is?
Oh, I just saw it. I cheated.
Oh, say nothing, Thomas.
Yeah, I won't say it. FanDuel's just too easy to look up.
I'm not looking at FanDuel. I just gotta look at the.
No, he doesn't want you to look.
I'm not looking at
don't
FanDuel.
look. I want you to guess.
I'm looking at the games the other games that are on the schedule this week.
It's a team we talked about. Kyle, it's a game we
Lions?
talked about.
Yeah, 53.5.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
I think I would take the under on that game before I would take the under on Dolphins Chargers.
Yeah, I feel more confident about the over in the Dolphins Chargers game. You're right. I do feel more confident in that game.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, Raiders is who I'm
Watch
going
out,
with.
Raiders. If they win this game, 6-7. By the way.
So I think that Raiders, they're in such a weird spot. I think they're all very emotional right now because they know how good they are. And I have no doubt that they put in the effort. The person that I don't believe in is their coach. I wonder how much they question their coach as well. I'm not sure about that scenario. We'll see. Time will tell on that one. But give me the Raiders because the Rams look horrible.
Yeah, give me the Raiders. Rams are a bottom 3 team right now this year, and we could even see Baker start this game Thursday night on what 2 days of knowing the playbook.
Love
Uh,
it.
it's great.
It
And
can't get worse.
yeah, no Cup, no Donald, no obviously no Stafford. Yeah, this is a mess.
Watch Allen Robinson somehow start to put up like 110 yards and a touchdown every game with Baker.
Well, we get the Cam Akers return after he tried to be traded and they almost cut him,
You
and now
know,
he's like,
screw the Rams. I was so mad when I saw his touchdowns. I was like, so was Darrell Henderson the issue the whole time? And you guys couldn't sort that out in your own locker room? Like, anyway, we can talk about that another time.
Raiders, and unfortunately, it helps the lines.
oh, they have the Rams pick, don't they? Oh, that's
This,
brutal.
this is the thing that's crazy is that the Lions keep on making their first round draft pick worse if they keep winning, but the trade of Stafford keeps making them. Who cares? They still
Be a top 5
as
pick.
long as the Rams keep losing, they're set for a top 5 pick with possibly being a 500 ball club. So
I think they're on pace to be the worst post Super Bowl team. Like the following year, after not even winning the Super Bowl, making the Super Bowl, I think they're on pace to have the worst record the year after. That's how bad this season has been.
Yikes.
that's nuts. All right, well, that will do it for our picks here. We'll follow up with Jared and Christian here. Maybe we'll bring them on for video here, maybe not. We'll get their picks in regardless. Thanks for listening again. This was another episode of Down in. No, dang it! Why? Oh my gosh, I have not done that since like week 2.
I think it in my head sometimes, and then I'm like, oh God, there's so
Well, it's
much
because
better
people
at
still
saying,
ask me, "How's Down in Flames going?" I'm like, "Oh well, it's not that anymore.
It's
It's a
illegal
Legal Contact
content.
Podcast." Yeah, like, oh, why'd you change it? Because we're football only now. Well, that makes sense. That's the conversation usually goes exactly like that every time, but I still get asked, so that's why it comes in my mind. I think a little bit. This is the Illegal Contact Podcast, the NFL episode for this week. Make sure you check us out. There's still a lot of NFL season left. That'll be definitely our main focus as we finish out this year for football and moving forward in there. So we appreciate you listening. Let us know what you think. We will see you again soon.